module system. And the module system is used to access the software on Kebnekaise. And here we'll just try to use some of the most common commands to find software, to list it, to load and unload it. And I'll also cover compiler tool chains. So most of the software on Kebnekaise, and indeed on most of the systems in Sweden, they are accessed through the module system. So modules are used to set up your environment as path to executables, libraries, etc., in order to use a particular set of software packages. So it manages the shell environment, and it allows you to have multiple versions of a program or package by just loading the proper module. And at HPC2N, they're installed hierarchically. That means that you usually need to load a specific compiler and/or MPI before you can load the software. That's not the case for all software, but for much of it. Now here, you can either do this in a SSH a session that you have. You can use it through thin link. Let's see what that is on mine. This is thin link. So you could open a terminal window and do the module commands. Or indeed, you can do it in the open on demand when you are there. So you open a terminal in that one. Let's try to do that again. System applications, system tools, made terminal. And here you could use module list that shows what modules you currently have installed. It's nothing because I haven't loaded any. You can use module spider that lists all the modules. Can you read this? It's large enough.
Yes.
Okay, it's good. So this will list all the available software modules. You can see there's a lot of them. What you could instead do is say module spider and maybe Python. Then it just shows you which Python versions are available. There's also a command module avail that shows you what you can load with what is currently loaded. So if you have not loaded anything, this will be the small amount of software that can be loaded directly, as well as the compiler tool chains and things like this. So that is GCC. FOSS is GCC plus MPI plus OpenBLAS, FFTV, and things like this. And it differs between centers. If they have a flat structure, as some of the centers do, like UpMax and NSC, I think, then you can use module avail to find all the software. But if it's hierarchical, like it is at HPC2N and several of the others, then you need to use module spider to see all the software. So let's imagine that I wanted to load Python 3.11 something. So again, I would say module spider Python. And I can see here there is a Python 3.11.5. I'm going to want to load that. So let's see how. It tells me I need GCC core and what version. The thing is that if you want anything else loaded later, then maybe you need the full GCC. So I personally find it easier to just load GCC instead of just the core parts of it. So I say module load GCC 13.2.0. Now, module list tells me this is what I have loaded. There is no Python yet because I also need to load that. It's called like this here. So module load Python. Now, there will only be one available that can be loaded with this GCC, so I could now push tab, but it will autocomplete like this. Module list again. Now you can see Python is loaded as well as some other things that got pulled in as well. Now, if when you are using this more, you will find that it's easier to just write the short form of module. So you will just be able to write ML for module list or ML also for module load, and then for instance GCC or whatever, you would just write ML GCC. And to unload this, you do module unload and for instance Python 3.11.5, or you could also say ML unload, or you could say ML minus Python. All of those will work. So now let's see what is loaded. Again, only the GCC. Another way of removing everything you have loaded is module purge. And you may want to use that if you have loaded a lot of things. And see, now there are only the so-called sticky modules left, which are environment variables that sets up things like, well, it's environment variables. It sets up links to things you can use to easily go to temp or scratch or things like that. And that is something you can use at many centers, but at some centers, particularly PDC, it is not a good idea to use module purge. At most other centers, it works fine. I think I covered most of these. There's module show, which just gives you information about what is inside of a module or what path it will set. One thing to pay attention to, which is still the case, but not so much as it has been, not all modules and versions are the same on the Skylake nodes and the Zen 3, Zen 4 nodes. We had some software on the Skylake nodes, and then we are installing only the new part of it or what people are asking for on the Zen 3 and Zen 4 nodes. That means that you could log in to the Kebnekaise minus AMD node and see what differs there. It's usually not an issue. It can be if it's not installed on that, but on the Skylake ones, then maybe you see a version of a module that is not installed on the node you randomly get assigned to. But this is a corner case and something that can be resolved if it happens. And it also is something that will not be the case soonish because we are updating all of it. So these things I already did, but I suggest that you maybe also go ahead and do the exact same things I did. So open a terminal in whatever connection you are using, and then try use module spider to see which versions of Python exists. and how to load that version, and then actually load it, and then also unload it, or you can use module purge. So try do that, and I'm going to slowly do the same thing once more here. More you can get out of it by just scrolling further down with space, or if you don't want to read the rest, just press Q and it will exit it. You can even say module add instead of module load, but I'm going to use module load. You can also load several modules on the same line. Do pay attention that you must load prerequisites first. So you couldn't say module load Python and then GCC, because Python needs GCC. Okay. And you also saw the advantage to loading modules one at a time is that if you are looking for modules that are compatible, then you can try just writing the name of it and autocomplete for the version, or you could also just have written module load Python after you had loaded a specific GCC, because then there is only one available. Otherwise, you should always load specific versions of modules, because we are sometimes installing new versions, which then may become the default one. And for reproducibility, you may want to be able to use the same version that you used when you ran your code. And we can also try and do this here. So log in to Kebnekaise AMD. And I'm just going to do that. It's enough to write the name of it. You don't need the whole domain, because you are now already on Kebnekaise. And you can see I now ended up on the Kebnekaise AMD login node. If I say module spider Python, you can see there are fewer versions available here. We'll just log out. And there are more here on the Skylake ones, as you can see. So you can do that as well, logged in and see that. I have mentioned compiler toolchains. They are simply bundles of compiler suites, MPI, BLAS, LAPACK, ScalaPack, things like that. CUDA sometimes as well. And these are the ones that we have. Varies a little, so there's Intel, of course, and FOSS, and those two are the most common ones. What I loaded was just GCC, that's just the GCC compilers. If I loaded FOSS, I would also have got compatible OpenMPI and things. And that's usually safe to do instead as well, if you want to. So you could type along and check which versions of FOSS exists. Let's see what I have loaded. Nothing, I think, but let's check. Module. And now I can use avail, because there are FOSS to be loaded. As you can see here, those I can load directly. And there are all these. And I am going to go ahead and take this one here. because it's reasonably new, but it's not the newest one. It's usually fine to load the newest one, but I'm just going to load this one. That. And let's do ml to module list. And here you see it loaded GCC and GCC core. And it also loaded various other things like hardware location. It loaded OpenMPI, BLAS, FFTW, scalar pack, and things. So that's good. We got what we wanted. And now we could load a Python. Let's try and see which Pythons are available with what we have loaded. There should be only one, and there probably is. Well, it also shows other modules that is called something with Python. But you can see here that Python 3.11.5 is the one you can load. So if I just do module load Python, and then I do the slash here, and instead of writing the version, I'll do tab, and it auto-completes. And now that is loaded as well. Okay. And I will do module purge. And now nothing is loaded except the sticky modules. There is a lot of information on the HPC2N documentation for this. But let's go on.